Hey! This week I'm going to show you my favorite stress managing technique. To begin with, let's talk about why you want to manage stress. Stress that goes on day after day after day is what we call chronic stress. So these are things like work, all the things that you have to do that you don't have time to do, the aggravations and frustrations of dealing with perimenopause and menopause, and literally everything that goes on. Snow, it's the middle of winter, whatever, the car breaks down, emails, reports that are due, trying to figure out what's for dinner. All of these things can build up and cause a condition of chronic stress if you don't deal with it. You may not even realize that you have this low-grade stress happening day after day after day. The worst part is that these chronic stressors, as the situation gets longer and longer, it actually can contribute to belly fat. So I know a lot of you are always asking me, Tammy, how do I get rid of belly fat? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to identify and learn some strategies around stress management, or stress coping, as I like to say, because we can't really manage it, but our techniques for how we deal with it are what's important. The second reason that you should care about stress in your life, whether it's chronic or it just comes on, in the moment and then goes away, is because stress has been really closely linked to hot flashes. So there's another problem that we don't like to deal with, right? Our hot flashes. So there's something about having that anxiety or that stress that kind of flips a switch in a lot of women, and it can cause those, quick and sudden onset hot flashes that are just unbearable. So that's more of an acute situation, right? It happens in the moment. So we've got our chronic stress that builds up over time, compounded with other things that are going on in your life, and then this acute stress, which happens in the moment. So between the belly fat and the hot flashes, I think we need some better outlets for that. And that's what brings me here to my very favorite technique for stress management, the journal. So journal writing can be a really great technique to have in your toolbox or your arsenal of strategies to help you cope. So let's talk strategies. My favorite strategy is to talk about my problems, right? So if I've got a lot of things weighing on me, get on the call with my sister, or we text back and forth and we talk about the things that are really driving us crazy. And then it's done, it's over, let it go, and everybody's happy. But we can't always do that, right? There are some things that A, you don't want to talk about, B, that just kind of weigh on you and you may not actually realize them, or C, you can't always take time out of your day to go grab a cup of coffee. So while it's not always practical to head out to the coffee shop or hop on a call, you do have other ways to quote unquote talk it out. And that's where the journal comes in handy. So think of this as your best bud, right? So the person that you get to tell everything to, and there is no chance that this person is going to tell anybody what's going on. So how do you use a journal? All right, so let's talk about how you implement a journal writing practice in your everyday. That's the first trick. That's the key to make sure that it is every single day. Then it becomes a habit, and over time you won't have to think about it. It'll just be that thing that gives you that sense of restoration, right? That sense of peace. So the first thing is to determine when you're going to do this. Make it easy. Tack it on top of something that you do every single day. It might be before you go to bed. It might be first thing in the morning. It might be your 10 a.m. coffee break. Whatever works with your schedule where you can consistently do it more often than not. 2, don't negotiate. So by tacking it onto another habit, if you plan it correctly, it's that thing that's always going to just flow with your day and you won't have to negotiate. So now that you have your time and it's set in stone, now you're just going to set a timer. So 15 minutes is usually good for most days. You might need a little more time or a little less depending on what's going on in your life, but set a timer for 15 minutes. So if this is before you go to bed, maybe you go to bed 15 minutes early. If it's first thing in the morning, maybe you grab your cup of coffee and then sit down with it. Whatever it is, it's 15 minutes is pretty much the low end of what you would need for this. And then the next piece is put it on paper. So just start writing. Whatever it is that you've got going on, you're writing it down. You can free journal, you can bullet journal. I really like bullet journals. I have a PDF for you that has some journal prompts to get you started if you're not in the habit already of writing in a journal. It might be a Dear Diary form. So, Dear Diary, can you believe that so-and-so did this today? It made me so mad. Or list all of the things that are weighing on your mind before bed. You know, have to take the garbage out, have to finish a report, have to do this, have to do that. So you can do multiple ways. There's no wrong way to journal as long as you're doing it. And then this is the most crucial piece, the most critical thing that makes this work is once it's on paper, let it go. It's no longer your problem. You don't have to worry about it. Physically, you can write, let it go at the bottom of your paper, or closing it can be, you know, that ceremonious, I'm done, let it go. Or you can say to yourself, and now I'm letting it go. Once you have all of those steps in place and you practice this for a little bit, you're going to notice that you feel lighter. You actually start to look forward to your journaling practice. And the stress of everything is going to start to melt away. So journal writing is something that I teach in the Perimenopause Society program, because it's a great way to sneak in that self-care. I especially like this for managing hot flashes, controlling weight, working on setting your goals. Journal writing is part of self-care. Self-care is one of the 4 pillars that are the foundation to the Perimenopause Society program. Self-care, journal writing, letting things go, managing your symptoms one at a time. They're all part of the strategy that I teach to help you be successful on your journey through perimenopause all the way through menopause and beyond. Journal writing is part of self-care. And self-care is one of the 4 pillars in the Perimenopause Society program. I teach you how to implement the mindful nutrition, the intuitive movement, self-care with purpose, and hormone balance so that you can live your best years during your best years. Those years of perimenopause right through and beyond menopause, those should not be filled with anxiety and stress and all of the symptoms, and you do not have to accept that those are just part of the process. My next live series is coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to drop the link so that you can sign up to be on the email list to know when that goes live and when you can join that, so that you can learn more of these strategies so that you can be more successful. Thanks so much for joining me for these videos. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have questions, absolutely drop them below. I'd love to hear them, love to help you work through some of them. And don't forget to sign up to be notified when my live series is announced in a couple of weeks. Namaste, friends.